Lena, 35, was the epitome of success. A renowned surgeon in Chicago. She was admired by her colleagues and patients alike. Her career was flourishing, and her life seemed picture perfect. Married to Nathan, 38, a talented architect, they lived in a stylish loft in the heart of the city. Their home was a blend of modern elegance and warmth, filled with art pieces they collected during their travels. From the outside, they were the ideal couple, successful, attractive, and seemingly happy. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to show. Lena's demanding career left little room for personal life. She often came home late, exhausted, and emotionally distant. Nathan, though supportive, felt the growing gap between them. Their conversations became routine, and the spark that once defined their relationship was fading. Lena tried to convince herself that this was just a phase, that every marriage had its ups and downs. One evening, after a particularly grueling surgery, Lena returned home to find Nathan asleep on the couch, a half-finished sketch of a new project beside him. She stood there for a moment, staring at him, feeling a pang of guilt. She knew she hadn't been present, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was losing herself in the process. The next morning, as they sat across from each other at breakfast, the silence was deafening. Nathan tried to make small talk, but Lena's mind was already at the hospital. She smiled politely, but her thoughts were elsewhere. It was in moments like these that Lena felt the weight of her choices, her career, her marriage, and the life she had built. Little did she know, this illusion of perfection was about to shatter. It started innocently enough. Marcus, 40, was a charismatic and experienced surgeon who joined Lena's team. His confidence and charm were undeniable, and Lena found herself drawn to him. They began working closely on complex cases, and their professional chemistry quickly turned personal. One late night, after a particularly intense surgery, they found themselves alone in the hospital lounge. The conversation shifted from work to their personal lives. Marcus opened up about his recent divorce, and Lena, for the first time in years, felt someone truly understood her struggles. The connection was instant, and the boundaries began to blur. Their first kiss happened in the dimly lit parking garage, a moment of impulsivity that neither could take back. Lena knew it was wrong, but the thrill of being desired, of feeling alive again, was intoxicating. They began meeting in secret, quick lunches, stolen moments in empty hospital rooms, and late-night phone calls. Marcus was everything Nathan wasn't: attentive, passionate, and unafraid to express his feelings. Lena found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, torn between guilt and exhilaration. She told herself it was just a fling, a way to escape the monotony of her life. But deep down, she knew it was more than that. Meanwhile, Nathan remained oblivious, focused on his work and their home. Lena's guilt grew with each passing day, but she couldn't bring herself to end it. The affair became her escape, a secret world where she could be someone else, someone who wasn't weighed down by expectations or regrets. The affair couldn't stay hidden forever. One evening, Nathan decided to surprise Lena at the hospital with dinner. He walked into the break room, only to find her and Marcus in a moment of intimacy. The shock on his face mirrored the guilt on Lena's. Nathan froze, the takeout bag slipping from his hand. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, his voice trembling with anger and hurt. Lena tried to explain, but the words caught in her throat. Marcus stepped back, realizing the gravity of the situation. The drive home was silent, the tension palpable. When they arrived, Nathan slammed the door and turned to Lena. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, his voice breaking. Lena confessed everything, tears streaming down her face. She told him about the loneliness, the emotional distance, and how Marcus had filled the void. Nathan was devastated. He had trusted her completely, and now that trust was shattered. "I thought we were happy," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Lena reached out to him, but he pulled away. "I need time to think," he said before walking out the door. The next few days were a blur. Nathan moved into a hotel, leaving Lena alone in the loft they had built together. She felt the weight of her actions, the consequences of her choices crashing down on her. The perfect life she had worked so hard to create was now in ruins. The aftermath of the affair was a storm that left no one unscathed. Nathan filed for divorce. Unable to forgive Lena's betrayal, the once vibrant loft felt like a prison, filled with memories of a life that no longer existed. Lena tried to reach out, to explain, but Nathan was resolute. "You made your choice," he said coldly during one of their final conversations. At work, rumors began to spread. Marcus, fearing the impact on his career, distanced himself from Lena. Their once passionate connection turned into awkward glances and forced professionalism. Lena felt isolated, her reputation tarnished by whispers in the hallways. The emotional toll was overwhelming. Lena struggled to focus on her patients, her mind constantly replaying the mistakes she had made. She sought solace in therapy, but the guilt and regret were relentless. "I ruined everything," she confessed to her therapist, tears streaming down her face. Meanwhile, Nathan threw himself into his work, burying his pain under a mountain of projects. He avoided social gatherings, unwilling to face the pitying looks of friends and colleagues. The man who once radiated confidence now seemed hollow, a shadow of his former self. As the divorce proceedings dragged on, both Lena and Nathan were forced to confront the reality of their new lives. The future they had envisioned together was gone, replaced by uncertainty and heartache. The fallout from the affair forced Lena to confront herself in ways she never had before. She began journaling, pouring her thoughts and regrets onto the pages. "I lost sight of who I was," she wrote one night, staring at the blank walls of her now empty loft. Therapy became her lifeline. Her therapist encouraged her to explore the root of her actions, her fear of vulnerability, her need for validation, and the emotional distance she had allowed to grow between her and Nathan. "You can't change the past," her therapist said, "but you can choose how you move forward." Lena started attending support groups for people dealing with infidelity and its aftermath. Hearing others' stories helped her feel less alone and gave her perspective on her own journey. She began to forgive herself, slowly but surely, understanding that her mistakes didn't define her. Meanwhile, Nathan also began to heal. He reconnected with old friends, rediscovering hobbies he had abandoned during his marriage. He even started dating again, though cautiously, wary of opening his heart too soon. As the months passed, Lena and Nathan found themselves in a place of tentative peace. They hadn't spoken in weeks, but both were focused on rebuilding their lives. Lena took up yoga, finding solace in the quiet moments of self-reflection it offered. Nathan traveled, exploring new places and rediscovering his sense of adventure. Their paths had diverged, but both were on a journey of growth and self-discovery. The pain of the past still lingered, but it no longer defined them. They were learning to live again, one step at a time. Life, as it often does, moved forward in unexpected ways. Lena and Nathan's paths crossed again, not by design but by chance. At a coffee shop downtown, they exchanged polite smiles, the kind that carried the weight of shared history but also the quiet acceptance of how far they'd come. Lena had found a new rhythm. She had taken on a leadership role at the hospital, channeling her energy into mentoring young doctors. She was still single, but she had learned to find fulfillment in her work and her friendships. "I'm okay with where I am," she told a friend one evening over wine. "I'm not rushing anything." Nathan, too, had found his footing. He had started a small business, something he'd always dreamed of but never pursued. He was dating someone new, a woman who made him laugh and reminded him that love could be simple. Still, he carried the lessons of his past with him, more cautious but also more open. Their meeting at the coffee shop was brief. They talked about the weather, their jobs, the city's latest news. There were no apologies, no rehashing of old wounds. Just two people acknowledging how much they'd grown. As they parted ways, Lena felt a sense of closure she hadn't realized she needed. Nathan, too, walked away with a quiet gratitude for the life he had built. The future was uncertain, but that was okay. They had learned to embrace the unknown, to find beauty in the journey rather than the destination.